Major questions remain for parents and teachers of elementary school students in Toronto's highest risk neighborhoods for COVID-19. The Toronto District School Board has made special plans for these schools, but some community members feel that even this late in the game, those plans have not been thoroughly thought out. There are roughly 80 schools that have been flagged as high-risk schools by Toronto Public Health. They are located in neighborhoods where the COVID-19 infection rate has been the highest, neighborhoods that are also home to a higher proportion of low-income and racialized residents. The TDSB will be enforcing smaller class sizes in these schools, limiting them to 15 students for junior and senior kindergarten and 20 students for grades 1 through 8. The plan is to lease additional space for overflow and hire more teachers to accommodate the change. Suzanne Narain supply teaches in the Jane Finch neighborhood. She says she isn't sure she would take an occasional long-term position if it were offered to her.
As much as I miss being in the classroom and I want to teach and it's truly important to me, it's also really scary to think about bringing home that COVID-19 to my family, particularly my grandma.
Narain says there are too many questions still left unanswered. Among them, will occasional teachers be stationed at one school or will they fill in at multiple schools? Will there be enough PPE? And what will classroom protocols be? She also says the plan for overflow spaces presents other problems. Based on the latest data provided by TDSB, there are 20 high-risk schools that may also have potential classroom shortages. The city has offered spaces such as libraries and community centers to double as classrooms, but just how kids will be getting there still hasn't been determined. The TDSB is waiting until registration for classes is complete to finalize any plans on alternate locations and transportation. It's a catch-22 for parents. They must decide whether their kids will go back to class before they can be informed about how it will work. An especially difficult decision for those in high-risk neighborhoods and essential jobs.
So they're just going to wait to see who registers and then decide what kind of resources to put into school and put into safety. And that is unacceptable. Let's say kids do stay home. We know that one of the main ways of breaking the cycles of poverty is education. And if parents are having to keep their children home, what's going to happen to that kid?
Now I'm in front of Thorncliff Park Public School. It's one of the schools identified as being in one of the highest risk neighborhoods for COVID-19. It's also noted as having a potential classroom shortage. So if they did need more space, the TDSB would have to use the closest library or community center, and the closest one is actually a 5-minute walk down that way. Now, the deadline to register for either in-person or virtual learning for the TDSB is this Saturday, August 29th.